Guilty Movie Pleasure fans, the day that Jesse and I covered Street Fighter the movie may have been the most important day of your life. But for us, it was Tuesday. Hadouken!
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk, we talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Guilty Movie Pleasures.
Shoryuken! Let's just keep doing that the whole time.
You should do it.
Hadouken! He sort of does a Hadouken in this. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Guilty Movie Pleasures. We are back in action with Street Fighter the movie. I'm your host, Ben Begley, and with me as always is...
Jesse McIntosh.
Yeah, I remembered to do this time.
Yeah.
Like a real host.
It's points for you.
Points for me. They'll add that to my bonus.
For those keeping track.
Of Bitcoin.
Is that...
They pay us in Bitcoin.
Is that what's happening?
No. It's cryptocurrency, but it doesn't
app.
mean anything.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I only have 2 apps on my phone, so.
Did you try and explain Bitcoin to me, or somebody else? I've had it explained to me 5 times. I still.
From what I understand, it's smaller coins.
Yeah,
is that true?
I think so.
Just like parts of
It's like
coins.
Chuck E. Cheese tokens.
Yeah.
Anyway, you break up a penny.
That's my understanding of Bitcoin. Okay.
I've been wanting. Now, tell me if this perception is true. We have 2 things I want to try and prove on today's show.
We're scientists today.
First and foremost, I text Jesse. Oh no. Secondly, I'll get into that. But first and foremost, I've had this in my head that I feel like I've pitched you this movie a dozen times and you've turned it down, or is that just in my head?
So what your pitches come in like bundles.
And maybe in my head I know which one I want. I'm like trying to
you
will
always know which one you want,
Yeah.
I think, but like they come in like groups of 5 or 6. And I'm usually like, oh, let's maybe do this one. And then you usually respond back, well, that's kind of similar to the one we already did. And it usually at some point whittles down to the one that you wanted.
So you're like, why did you even send me this bundle?
Just like, tell me what you want to do. But so
I've been wanting to do this for months.
Listen, it may have been included in some of the bundles.
So you weren't actively against covering this movie?
No.
Had you ever seen this movie?
No.
Okay, then... Were you a Street Fighter fan back in the day?
I mean, not really.
Okay, so we're covering, in case you didn't know, Street Fighter the movie, and this is the Extreme Edition. I own the Blu-ray, guys. That's how committed I am. I remember I loved Corey Ular, who's been on the show. He and I played Super Street Fighter 2, and we loved playing that game. And I'll never forget... he got so mad at me one time because I was M. Bison and I kept jump kicking him and I kept defeating him. It's not flawless victory, that's Mortal Kombat, but I kept defeating him without him getting a hit. And finally, he punched me in the arm so hard my arm went numb. And then he
the person punched you, Ben Begley, yeah.
Corey got so mad at me, he punched me in the arm, and then he won that round because I couldn't. The buttons weren't working. I was cheating.
That's not honorable.
I meant to bring I still have with the case and booklet Super Street Fighter 2 on the Sega Genesis that I bust out every once in a while because that's my favorite version of the game. Even newer iterations, other than like Marvel vs. Capcom, I love those. But of the Street Fighter games, Super Street Fighter 2 is still my favorite because it has everybody from the original Street Fighter 2 and Cammy and a ton of other people. But does anybody know, fans out there, tweet at me if I know they made a Street Fighter for Nintendo, but it was like a weird futuristic game. I don't know of a one with Ryu and Ken and Guile and Blanca and everything.
Don't future shame the game.
No, I'm just saying it seems like a different game completely.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if an original Street Fighter exists. But anyways, I remember seeing this movie and enjoying it, but even at the time realizing it's ridiculous. And my biggest gripe was in the game Ryu and Ken, or Ryu is how I always pronounce it. I may be completely wrong. Ryu and Ken, they were the leads in the game. Mm-hmm. And then Guile was the lead in this. And I think... for some reason, I was 11 at the time, and I wasn't really exposed to that many Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, so I was just like, this guy's a terrible actor, is what I thought in this movie.
Yeah.
Turns out he was high on coke for most of it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I looked up a bunch of stuff on IMDb. I actually prepared and stuff.
Nice.
But
if there is a movie to do it for,
it's this one.
Street Fighter.
Hey, I gotta pull out all the stops. I have all the listed moves that they did in here. Wow. Anyways, but yeah, he was on coke a ton and would not come out of his trailer. And poor Raul Julia, this was his last movie, who played M. Bison. He was diagnosed with stomach cancer before the movie started production. And so why some of the fight scenes are so shitty in this movie is because they had to shoot all of M. Bison's stuff first, and then and all of his fight scenes, and then they didn't have time to rehearse because they were busy choreographing the Jean-Claude Van Damme and Bison fight scene. that all the other stuff, they were saying the actors sometimes learn the choreography the day of, like hours before shooting.
Yeah.
It shows.
Yeah.
They still do great. They're all great martial artists. And Ming-Na Wen is in this, who plays Chun-Li, and she's Agent May on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and she's a badass. Shout out to Agent May. But anyways, at the time I thought it was kind of cheesy, and I thought it was okay. But watching it now, it's, in my opinion, one of the best terrible movies ever made. Because it is horrendously bad, but I was entertained from beginning to end, laughing my ass off at just... You can tell that it was Capcom just telling the studio everything they wanted and them trying to get some semblance of a story with a coked out lead and somebody who was unfortunately terminally ill. Just all these awful circumstances coming together to make this bizarre batshit movie that is a step up from Super Mario Brothers, if you can believe that, the movie.
I'm going to have a hard time.
We're going to cover it on here. I'm going to force you to.
Yeah.
Now that I went on my 14-minute dissertation and we have 10 minutes left in the show,
Yeah.
Jesse, what'd you think?
I thought it was fine. Let's, no, I'm kidding.
Every show starts, when it's something, I'm stoked about a movie when I talk about it for like 7 minutes straight in the beginning.
Yeah.
And when you're really quiet, I know you're not.
No, that's...
Or you're holding it.
That's not, yeah.
You're holding your cards.
Sometimes I just like to surprise you. Today is not one of those times.
Damn it!
You're not going to be surprised by my response to this movie at all. I thought it was pretty dumb. Like,
Of course!
Yeah. I'm not like I'm not saying that I was expecting for it not to be dumb, but it was just like
I'm getting out the text I sent you.
It was obviously like it's a kids movie, right? Like it was.
I don't even know. I mean,
it seemed like all the edges were rounded, and like there was nothing that could have hurt us. Like everything was super predictable.
Yeah.
There was nothing that, like.
There's so many great jumps in logic that don't make any sense.
Yeah,
in this movie.
there's a lot of stuff where like the good guys could have like with the gas chamber where they should have all just died, but for some reason they took them out to like.
The best is when, I know we'll get to this, but when Guile's big plan is to ride up in the elevator that Blanca was supposed to be in,
Yeah.
and then jump kick M. Bison in front of 100 soldiers with machine guns, and then duck behind a few bricks.
Yeah, so
and just hang out there for the entire
And there's
shootout.
There's just like a general disinterest in the way things work. Like this unit committed just a mutiny on whatever government they're answering to,
Yeah.
and the government was just like, well, I guess they're doing that.
Yeah.
Like there's no response by the allies or anything. It was just like, okay.
Well, that's why the AN is there.
Right.
The Allied nations.
But that's what I'm saying. Like no one, they like went to stop them, and then no one was ever like, well, we asked them not to, and they decided to.
The bureaucrats try and get them to bow to Bison, and that's when we'll play Guile's speech later. Don't worry.
But like so,
I'm gonna see how close I was.
My reaction to it as that it was a kids movie is based on like a general either disinterest or lack of understanding or lack of caring in like the mechanics of things,
Of movies in general?
of anything. And just like here are things that people familiar with
Like,
the game will be
Yeah.
into.
Well, that's another
And,
thing.
like,
Yeah.
So
Keep going.
and then like to me, not being familiar with the game, you tell me. The game is based on hand-to-hand combat, right?
Yeah.
Are there a ton of guns in the game?
No.
Right. So this whole movie is based on an arms race and a world war.
Yeah.
And like it's called Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Why isn't it more just like
Mortal Kombat, the
a
movie.
minuscule story on the street
Yeah.
where people are fighting on the street? Like, and the fight scenes, like you telling me that people learn the choreography the day of sometimes. If you're making a movie called Street Fighter, maybe make that important.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
be like, we probably shouldn't rush these hand-to-hand combat scenes because this is sort of like our deal.
Yeah. I did realize, like, about an hour in, I was like, man, there's not a lot of fighting.
No,
in
there's
this.
no fighting.
And then there is, in the last, like, 30 minutes, they throw in some fighting.
a little bit, but like they try and hint at in the beginning with like the cage match that immediately gets shut down.
Which we'll get to that because Guile has no regard for any bystanders that might be standing in the way of his tank crashing through
This
that
is what I'm
cage fight
saying
wall.
is that and then he's just like able to arrest everybody and no one's like, should we riot and get out of here? Everyone's just like, damn, I guess we're arrested now.
It's so good. See, but that's why I loved it. I was laughing so hard because there's no internal logic to this movie.
There's none.
Did you find anything hilarious? Were you just frustrated?
I'm being a little harsh. I wasn't like frustrated at all because, like I said, I had this set of expectations going in that it was going to be
sent you
a little bit like Winky. But just like take some care. There were a couple of. I'm trying to remember like the moments where I was like, oh boy. When we talk about the movie, it'll pop up, and
I think I'm wrong then today, because here's what I text Jesse earlier today. I'm going to guess you found it confusing not knowing the background of Street Fighter, since they just keep throwing characters at the screen. Correct?
Only a little bit. Like it was way more. I was able to follow it way more than I was the Transformers.
Because, don't bring that up again. We're going to get yelled at.
No, because they were human beings, and they all had unique personalities that I could discern immediately from seeing them.
Might be my favorite.
Like I got it all. I knew who they were independent of the game. Like I'm sure people who had background with the game would see the characters and be like, hell yeah. But it took me maybe a minute.
So then my next section of it said, but hilarious in moments and ultimately a bad movie.
Ultimately a bad movie, I think is.
Did you find it hilarious in moments?
There were a couple moments where I laughed, and I'm trying to, like I said, when we go through it, I'll hit them. But none are like immediately.
I was laughing hysterically from beginning to end at this movie. And let's just get into it because I love it. This movie is, to me, why I do this podcast, because it's so silly. It doesn't make any sense. The Mortal Kombat movie, at least, like, as goofy as it gets in points, they actually try to make it close to the game. This is just like action film, the movie with Street Fighter characters, but it's so fun. Let's do the plot in under 3 minutes. Oh, here we go. I love it.
All right, guys. Rock and roll in 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
So we have this little intro that I like to call exposition news, where Chun-Li and a bunch of other newscasters basically tell you that Bison has taken over this fictional Asian city or country of Shadaloo, I think, Shadaloo or whatever they call it.
Something like that,
yeah. And he's captured these refugees, and he's holding them hostage, saying, "Give me $20 billion, or I'll kill them, and I'll kill these soldiers that I kidnapped as well." Guile gets on and says, "Hey, I know you like to look at yourself. Look at this." And he flexes, and you can tell immediately Jean-Claude Van Damme's on coke. Then there's Vega cage fighting, and Ryu and Ken are introduced, and they're about to fight him. And then we also realize there's a scientist that is experimenting on Charlie, who's Carlos Blanca, who's Guile's friend. And then boom, right before the fight between Vega and Ken and Ryu, which would have been awesome, Jean-Claude Van Damme busts in the tank and arrests
them all. They're about to get shipped off somewhere. Do we know where?
No.
Great. And then the two guys are like, "Hey,
Sagat and Vega."
He pulls them aside and is like, "I need help. Like, you guys are my guys." And
Like, Guile.
Yeah. And they're like, "Okay." And so they like get the key and they try and escape. And then the guy with the eye patch is like,
Sagat,
"I can help you." And they're like, "Well, okay."
And they kill Guile.
Yeah.
And then they escape,
right? And
they put a tracking device, but then Chun-Li puts a tracking device on there as well, and then realizes Guile is still alive, and then escapes. And Guile's like, "What a woman!" And then they have Zangief and Bison. Meanwhile, Bison doesn't understand why everybody thinks he's this dictator. He just wants to get these super soldiers, mow over all of his enemies, and then rule.
That's all
everything,
he wants.
just everything.
That's all he wants.
And Raul Julia is amazing in this. And then, good God, there's so much. Then then there's they're gonna do an arms deal, but then Chun-Li gives them a lot of time to escape as this truck full of explosives careens towards them, and it blows up, and they're pissed off, and they escape. They kidnap Chun-Li, Ryu, Ken, E Honda, and Balrog. They take them all to the big base, where then Guile and everybody is gearing up to go, as Chun-Li and Bison have this little tete-a-tete about how he killed her father. And then it's basically...
So, the big plan is Jean-Claude Van Damme's going to get in this boat and distract them while everyone else attacks from the other side.
Stupid.
And so he comes in stealth mode, which it just makes him invisible, I guess. And then they're able to perceive him, and so then they like shoot him up.
Spit out my coffee.
And then there's a minefield, and the mines start, and they jump out. And
he's using a Street Fighter 2 joypad for it?
God.
Oh God! Okay, and then everybody's fighting. E Honda and Zangief are fighting. Ryu, Ken, and Vega and Sagat are fighting, and then there's Bison Bison and Jean-Claude and Guile face off, and then he gets kicked into a TV after being electrocuted, and his suit brings him back to life, and then he dies, and then Guile comes out, and he's like, hey, I'm okay, he can fly. You can fly, you can fly, you can fly. There's a post-credit scene, did you know that? Ooh, good sound. There's a post-credit scene, did you know that?
I absolutely did not know that.
I fast-forwarded to the end because I thought vaguely I remembered it, and then I read on IMDb, because I did my research, that, look, maybe I should do this more often, because I know trivia.
Up to you.
That there's like a Sam Raimi type ending where the camera pans over the TVs that have been destroyed, and his hand shoots out from it, and then he clicks on this screen that's saying Bison's plan, whatever, and then he clicks on replay, which is the most overt arcade metaphor.
Is that
aside from him actually playing an arcade game as he's trying to blow him up, Guile up with the
right
with the underwater mines?
Yeah,
which was hysterical to me.
That one was a funny moment for sure.
Okay, let's just talk about how even though he's super over the top, Raul Julia as M. Bison is pretty great.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
He's like he's chewing the scenery in the best way. He did a ton of research on this, and
Poor guy.
They said he researched various dictators and crime lords and mimicked their traits and incorporated their mannerisms. Notably, oh God, my phone just went crazy. Benito Mussolini, his hand gestures, Joseph Stalin's mannerisms, Pablo Escobar's elusiveness, and Adolf Hitler's love of art. And he also he looked at him as the same type of villain as Richard III, so he took a Shakespearean tone. Hence the nerdiest t-shirt I own, which I'm going to show you, podcast listeners. Super Shakespeare fighter, Juliet versus Desdemona. Yeah.
That's actual audio from our listeners.
Let's get excited. Ooh. This is the nerdiest shirt I own. It combines my love of Shakespeare and my love of Street Fighter video games.
I will say he was good, but it's hard
no one cares.
It's hard to say if he was good or if he was good in relation to every single other person in this movie.
I would argue that he's good in general.
That's good.
And
yeah, that's entirely possible.
But he's lifted up even more by the fact that, like, I honestly think that, because then later on, I was 11, so my parents were very strict. I wasn't able to see, this came out in 93, right? Yeah. I wasn't able to see R-rated movies and all that stuff. My parents sheltered me a lot, so 94, so I was 12. But I ended up seeing, like, Time Cop when I was, like, 13. I started getting more into Van Damme, stuff like Hard Target and things that we've covered on the show. But yeah, if you've never seen Van Damme before and suddenly he's the lead in, like, one of your favorite video game properties, and you're like, what? He's not a bad actor. You can just tell he doesn't give a shit about this role. He doesn't care. Well, because he was high on coke.
Yeah, it's Street Fighter.
And sitting in his trailer. They had to drag him out of his trailer and say he wouldn't come to set. They said he was a nightmare. What if we just talk about this the whole time?
Imagine being on the set of the movie Street Fighter the movie, and then the main guy won't come out of his trailer. And you're like, God damn it! Like I was on a veil for this other thing, and I could have done that, but here I am, Street Fighter.
Yeah,
I guess are they all
frustrating?
Like, how many of them were like combat people, and how many of them are actors before this?
Well, Ming-Na Wen, who plays Chun-Li and who's Agent May on one of my favorite shows. She's badass. She knows martial arts.
She was also pretty good. I would say
she's great.
And also, like, Kylie Minogue was surprisingly good.
Surprisingly good.
Yeah.
Ken and Ryu aren't terrible. They're just given really crappy.
They're pretty bad. They're very campy with one another. Like, they're very like every time.
But I feel like that's more of a direction.
That's possible. That's possible.
Because those guys are clearly martial artists.
Yes.
Everybody here is pretty good at martial arts, I feel like.
Sure. Wish we could have seen more of it.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. That's the kind of thing. You introduce all these characters and then none of them fight.
Yep.
Let's play the first clip. This is when Guile, aka Jean-Claude Van Damme, gets a little bit of that. They say that a lot of these action movies are romantic comedies in disguise. And I think that secretly Guile and M. Bison have some sort of love for each other in their hatred. And just play the clip.
That bastard Bison! I know you like to look at yourself on television, you sick son of a bitch. So look at this.
The best is the way it's framed. He's not even like, the way the first shot is framed, you don't even see like his full arm. It's like he stops it, so it's like, you look at this. And you're like, what am I looking at?
But also, like,
there's so many shots of just his sweaty bicep.
that statement doesn't make sense.
No.
I know you like to look at yourself on TV, so look at this. What does that mean?
I told you.
Is his face on his arm? Did we miss it?
So look at this. I got a tattoo of you so we could be best friends.
This is from our old drinking days together.
Yes. Next time we arm wrestle, our faces can kiss.
Yeah. It's very strange phrasing of that. I don't know.
So it's so weird that they basically just shove all this exposition at you in the beginning, and Guile.
There's also like it's being broadcast, like he hacks into the broadcast or whatever
around the globe,
and then somehow his production team gets with the TV production team because the TV's like cutting back and forth. Yeah. Between the two of them, it's like, well, if he cut into your feed, it's just going to be him, unless there's a producer in the background. All right,
DJ was going, yeah, man, here we go, boom, back to you. He was DJing literally between the two. Yeah, and also, if you cut into the feed, maybe you wouldn't want to show Guile one up you. Raul Julia's face in that is so great because he like comes into the close up like, and his eyes are like twitching. It's like. Whatever this bicep flex means between them, there's some history. Because Bison is pissed when he sees that bicep.
Listen, maybe that was more research he did on his character.
Maybe.
And he was like...
Maybe Stalin hated biceps.
Everyone knows that, dude. I was like...
Everyone knows.
I was searching for the guy, but he's definitely Stalin.
That's why he wore those big coats.
Yeah.
Not because it was cold in Russia.
No.
He was hiding his tiny biceps.
Uh-huh.
That's amazing. Oh God! So then there's all this. There's Vega who should have been, because in the game Vega was always one of my favorite characters. He's this like he fights like a bullfighter. He has this amazing cool mask, this claw. Which, by the way, not fair to do a cage fight when you have a claw and they're bare fist fighting you.
It's not. First of all, it's not fair. Second of all, like it was so clear that Vega was the favorite of the filmmakers here. Like they gave him so much like oh, and everyone else was just like some schmuck that walked on screen.
He gets such a great intro.
He gets an intro.
Everybody.
He gets masks. He gets the claw. He gets like all that stuff.
The best is when Ryu gets in there and takes his shirt off, and the woman holding an "I Love Vega" sign goes, "Oh," and throws it, and then Vega goes like, "Oh." There's all this like amazingly over the top acting in these scenes where like just how they treat Vega like a 50-year-old woman's version of the Beatles is what they're where they're all freaking out over this man who murders people in cages.
This is the dude. Yeah.
This is the dude. I mean, he is shredded.
He is. I would not want to street fight him.
This is a true fact. It's on IMDb.
So it is true.
Fabio was considered for the role of Vega.
And what happened?
I guess
He was on Not Enough Coke.
He was either on Not Enough Coke or on too many book covers and he was too overexposed. Could you imagine if Fabio was Vega?
I'm going to spend the rest of my day doing that.
I mean, you gotta figure he would have to do a barrel roll somewhere in that role.
Yeah. Oh, it'd be so good. If Fabio was Vega, that would have changed.
Do you think Fabio said no because
I don't think he was ever officially asked.
Because we were introduced to Vega and Vega was wearing a mask and Fabio was like, I will not wear masks.
I will not wear a mask.
My face is too beautiful.
And I will not braid my hair. You must let it flow.
This is what you get.
Why is this our Fabio voice? Is that even how he talks?
Not at all.
Not at all. Oh my God. So then there's they introduce the other thing is that when you were talking about like internal logic, this movie has none. Right. So I would love to call out the lack of internal logic in scenes that I thought was hysterical. Mm-hmm. Like when Guile's talking on a full worldwide broadcast to M. Bison, and at the very end of it, he goes, "Charlie, don't worry. We'll get you, Charlie. I'm coming for you, buddy." As if that's like some secret message just to Charlie,
right,
who happens to be at that exact moment the soldier they have right in front of M. Bison. And Charlie looks like this, and he looks over and goes, "Carlos, Blanca, Charlie. I guess we found our new super soldier." And it's like, what? What? I feel like you've said several times on this show that it seems like that was a rough draft placeholder to be like, we'll figure out a way to really like massage this and make it fit and kind of flow better. And then they're like, nope. Van Damme's on a lot of coke. We just got to shoot this. We have 30 minutes of shooting today.
This is what we got in take one, and so we're going to use it.
It's such a funny moment. Like, It'd be like if in Jean McClane, I said Jean McClane.
Jean McClane.
If John McClane in Die Hard on the radio the first time he talks to Hans was like, and by the way, Holly, don't worry. Holly, don't worry. It's going to be okay, Holly, my wife.
Right.
It's like, what?
Wait, what?
Why would you immediately put him in danger?
Yeah.
They weren't even...
Just be like, we'll come get you, soldiers.
Yeah.
We're on our way.
Or use a different name.
Yeah.
Like a nickname you had
probably
for him.
don't even have to use a name. You probably don't have to say it at all, to be honest.
No, he knows.
He knows. He hears you.
So really, we could blame Guile for the tragic fate of
Yeah, we're gonna
Blanca
have
the
to.
Beast,
We also
who looks like a troll from the movie Trolls by the end.
I guess increased muscle mass also changes the way your hair
In the
behaves.
game, that's how he looks. So I appreciate the fact that they tried to make him look green and with the orange hair, but it doesn't fit in a real life thing.
It just doesn't make sense.
Any sense. Well,
maybe he looked like that prior to the hulking up of.
Excuse me, did you see all those bags that said DNA mutagens, beware and caution?
Yeah, I did.
They look like ectoplasm and like Kool-Aid bags.
Yes.
And they have the most overt. It literally says DNA mutagens.
Yeah, they would
beware.
probably just put the beware part on there, or caution, or hazardous,
So
or
good.
any other mass-produced caution sticker.
But that's where you saying it feels more like a kids
Yes.
movie comes into
Yes.
play, where it's like obviously they did that for kids.
Yes.
Oh my God, we're focusing so much on the minutia. I love it. Then one of the other great intros we get to Guile is mid-meeting when that guy tries to assassinate him, and he just sweeps his leg out from under him and basically crushes his esophagus, his windpipe,
Yeah.
and then goes, so any other updates? And you're just like, what? See, that was an awesome moment to me of ridiculousness, because the way he plays that off of just being like, all right, nothing happened. I get almost killed every day.
Right.
It's like in Last Action Hero when Arnold Schwarzenegger goes into his bedroom and shoots the closet, and a guy drops out, and he's like, how'd you know he was in there? There's always somebody in there. It's like, I
Yeah.
love that. I love that kind of
There's
stuff.
all the introduction to Bison when the two soldiers are one by one allowed to try and fist fight him, and he kills both of them.
Just with neck snaps
Yeah,
immediately.
yeah.
Why would anybody volunteer at that?
I don't
Were
know.
they volunteering or being forced? I think they were being forced.
I don't think so. They pulled the thing over from over his head.
Yeah.
And they untied him, and they were like, all right.
Yeah,
go
he
get
does
him.
charge at him.
He
like,
charges
I'm
at
gonna
him.
be the one.
Yeah. Which is silly because they're in a bunker with
You're
100
screwed.
soldiers. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Guile didn't care later on when he just did a flying
he's
jump.
Guile.
Look at this. That'll be great for the podcast listeners. Oh, so then we have all this stuff with Ken and Ryu. There's a lot of buildup where we learn about Bisonopolis and how Bison is really focused on the food court, and Ken and Ryu basically get, because Guile sees how badass they are in a prison yard fight. I use that term "fight" loosely,
Right?
Because it's over in 3 seconds. But he recruits them because he realizes they're not bad guys; they're just kind of crooks. They're stealing from bad people to get rich, but they're not the best people.
Yeah. You just reminded me of a moment that I laughed out loud
Yeah.
at. When they are watching the sumo wrestler and the boxer get taken away, and they're like, oh man, it sucks to see that happen to the good guys. We're on the same side. And it's just so explicitly spelled out there. Although we've done bad things, we are good guys.
We are good guys.
Please root for
In
us.
case you're confused, kids.
Yeah.
So then, basically, there's this jailbreak, which is the stupidest jailbreak ever. But it had, like I said, I love it because it makes absolutely no sense. So Ken and Ryu pretend to get in a fight with even worse acting than normal.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And Ken gets the keys, and then Sagat is like, pass me the keys, we'll help you escape, like you said. And then instead of waiting till they pull safely away from this military prison, away from hundreds of soldiers with guns and Guile and out of the city, they unlock themselves there, immediately jump out, punch a few guards, get in the truck, while people are shooting live rounds.
Yes.
It's not like Guile sets up, oh, we're going to shoot blanks, so they think it's...
Right.
No, there's actually bullet holes and walls and pedestrians around.
Yep.
And other soldiers.
Yep.
Not a single criminal gets killed. And they just barrel through and drive off. And then Guile comes out and is shooting at him, again with live rounds. And he gets shot in the sides, and somehow he has some kind of blood packet there that kills him. and then they just drive off, and immediately Sagat is like, "You guys, you're good people." But then Guile's death, when Bison finds out about it, his speech is so good. Pretty much all my sound clips that I pulled are Bison or Guile. So let's play clip number 2.
That's great news, General. Congratulations.
On the contrary, I mourn.
Okay.
I was hoping to face Guile personally on the battlefield. One gentleman warrior to another, in respectful combat. Then I would snap his spine. Ah! The road not taken.
It's so good. Come on, that's so Shakespearean.
It's beautiful.
His dialogue is better written and better acted than this movie remotely deserves.
By a bunch. By a bunch.
The road less you can tell he's having a blast.
Yeah, let's talk about 2 things with respect to this
DJ's
prison.
okay is hilarious.
It's great.
Congratulations.
He's great. I love him.
Okay.
I love him.
It's so funny.
So Guile fakes his death and then like remains
That's right.
faking dead until someone happens to come pull the sheet over his
That's
face.
the first thing I wrote down was how long was he laying here?
How long was he intending to lay there?
Like, did they hear Chun-Li was coming in and he was like, quick, everybody.
this will
like
be
a kid
funny?
waiting to
Like,
surprise his
what,
like,
what was he thinking? And then the other thing about this whole like the sort of logistics of this is, you mean to tell me that he's like the leader of an army unit, but is for some reason making arrests in town, and then he is based out of the prison? What is going on?
I don't. Yeah, just so they can be right next to.
Yeah.
So everything can be right there.
Right, but like,
Doesn't make any sense.
What?
I guess it's a military prison.
Sure, but then why is he going into town arresting people? He's fighting a war, right?
I guess that's
He's not police.
he has some overreach.
Oh, yeah, I guess he's just very motivated.
But it's my favorite moment is when Chun-Li goes in there and she sees Guile's body and she lifts it up and she's sad, and then she puts it back down and he hops up. It's like, I would have loved. This is moments where I would love to see a short film about just Guile waiting there for 3 hours.
What
Just like,
happened?
or like 12 hours, just like, fuck, oh, gee, I feel like somebody's gonna come here, right?
Like, I have to use the
Oh,
bathroom.
we gotta pee. Oh, is that somebody?
Is it?
Oh, that's just Cammy. Cammy, get out of here!
Yeah. Cammy, can you make sure no one comes? Because I got to pee.
Cammy, somebody's gonna come in here eventually, and then I'm gonna go, aha!
Yeah.
It wasn't even like an aha moment. He's just like, yep.
Right.
Maybe he just needed a nap after those squibs. It just
That'd be
took a lot
great
out of him.
if he napped with the covers over his face and he was truly just napping.
Or what if it was that like Van Damme was on coke and was like, I'm just gonna lay here until you're ready, and then maybe. I don't know. No, that didn't work. It's all right. So then Zangief has some good one-liners, but they don't work in sound clip form except for one that I pulled later. Because it's after big monologues. Like Bison gives this whole speech about why he doesn't think he's evil and how he wants to bring peace by destroying every nation's armies. And Zangief's just like getting choked up and like, that's so beautiful. And I love Zangief. He's such a goofball. And then there's they go to this arms deal, and Chun-Li sends this is doing this weird. They're doing like this circus act in front of Bison for some reason.
Couldn't tell you.
I don't know why. Just because she looks great in that outfit, I guess.
Sure.
Or to show that they're infiltrating it somehow, but they didn't need to do that. Because they put explosives in his truck that seems like it's miles away.
Yeah.
Because, and this is another defying logic moment that I thought was so funny, is that they give Bison and Sagat so much time to escape the tent that that this truck full of explosives is careening towards.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, there's no one driving it, and it's crashing through all these poor merchants' like shops and
Right.
and just like these street dealers. They're just like, come on! First Bison, now you assholes, come on!
Yeah.
And then it blows up, and off camera, Chun-Li and E Honda and Balrog are captured.
Right.
Next thing you see them, they're in handcuffs. So they didn't have the foresight to make it blow up quicker to kill Bison or to escape.
Yeah.
What happened?
Don't know. Their plan was not well thought out.
No. And then Ken and Ryu are immediately outed too.
Yeah.
It's like
So I think was this
it's so silly.
Was this the moment at the circus which she got to perform in. She must know the Booker, I guess.
I know, yeah.
I don't know how she got in on that.
They did a great job though with the tossing up of the barrel, and
Yeah.
then I don't know how they did it,
they're-
except for cutting and having her get out of the barrel because it's
talented
physically
folks.
impossible.
Don't know. But is this where they're doing the arms deal and he like produces the money?
And it's Bison
And it's
bucks or
Bison
whatever.
bucks.
Yeah.
And he's like, for someone who is so like, he's asked for $20 billion, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, once I kidnap the queen, it's gonna be
Worth 1.5 euro or
it's gonna be
pounds.
£5 for each one of these. And it's like you couldn't have like reached for the stars a little more on your own currency. Like you settled at 5. What's that about?
I did write that down.
It was a very strange choice by him to be like, well, 20 billion from you guys, but we'll be modest with my currency.
And Sagat is immediately pissed off about that, rightfully
Yeah.
so. And they're about to shoot. There's a moment where you're like, oh, here comes a fight.
Yep.
Then Ken and Ryu walk in and they make them choose sides. And then the explosion happens. And Sagat is kind of a unwilling ally now, I
Yeah.
guess, because they just go to this evil base. And then pretty much the rest of the movie is just hanging out at this evil base until the big fight scene at
Yeah.
the end. So let's get into that because... we have Guile's Speech, which is this bureaucrat comes by and goes, we're going to give him, it's this guy who's this British dude that plays this in every movie I've ever seen him in, where he's like, we're going to give him the money. Don't worry. Just pack up your things. You're fired. All right. And then he says, I think you lost your balls. And then he goes and he gives this rousing speech that ends with this.
Well, I'm not going home. I'm gonna get on my boat and I'm going upriver and I'm going to kick that son of a bitch Bison's ass so hard that the next Bison wannabe is gonna feel it. Now, who wants to go home and who wants to go with me?
That's my favorite part of the end. And who wants to go with me?
I think he says and.
And who wants to go with me?
I know, but he's who wants to go home and who wants to go with me? Like that's an and. That means they want both of those things.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, so
I think he
it's-
says, and who wants to go with me?
Yeah, so it's very unclear what these people want.
Who wants to go home? And who wants to go home with me?
Yeah.
I have Gino Nino's pizza rolls at home, all right? My mom cooks them perfectly in the oven so that they're not too hot, but not frozen.
Yeah, this is very fun.
Do you remember that in the 80s?
Yeah,
When you'd have
of
Gino
course.
Nino pizza rolls?
It's either, yeah.
You'd either bite into them and it'd burn the roof of your mouth, or you'd bite into them and they'd be warm in the middle and then frozen.
Yeah.
The pepperoni chunks would be frozen.
It's not an ideal consistency.
No. I don't know if it was the oven's
they are
fault
delicious.
or they are
I
delicious.
prefer them smoking hot because then
Yeah.
I just let them cool.
I prefer them like I prefer my coffee, burning the roof of my mouth and killing my taste buds for at least several hours.
You prefer your coffee that way?
Yeah,
it's
a
fascinating.
weird thing. It's fascinating.
yeah,
I actually didn't know where I was going with that, and I just kind of made it up on the fly, and it clearly showed.
That was like a fight scene from Street Fighter
Yeah.
where they were like, just get out there and do it. This is very funny to me that he was just able to convince this entire group of loyal soldiers to commit mutiny.
Yeah.
In like a matter of 2
and
seconds.
not just like this isn't like the U.S. military. This is the
the Allied Nations.
Allied
right?
nations.
Yeah.
So these are soldiers from all over the world who just go, yep, mutiny.
sounds good.
All right. There's a woman though during this while all the soldiers, while all the soldiers are running off, who just has her shoes in her hand.
Right, yeah.
And she's running around confused. Like her reaction is like almost like, wait, you forgot your shoes, but I know they're hers.
Yeah.
But she's literally just running around like, It's such a
They're
weird.
just like, we need to show chaos.
And so how?
Do we
take
have
your shoes
a
off?
woman with shoes?
At first, I swear she only had one.
And then she
and
got
I
a
thought
second?
she was just like, "Where's my other shoe?" And then at the end, though, of that scene, she has both, and she still has the same expression. So clearly, it wasn't fear for having lost her one shoe.
That's another one we need to see a 3-minute film about. The woman who wanders
should-
onto the base
what
and it just is like,
What if we start raising money just to
Yeah.
do the most asinine short films
I would
based
love
on
it.
these plot holes?
I would love it.
Go fund us. Anyways, this is actually, I was telling Jesse before this, I quote this to my wife all the time in different ways because it's one of my favorite villain lines in the history of cinema in a movie that doesn't deserve it, but I love it. Play clip number 4, please.
I'm sorry. I don't remember any of it.
This is after Chun-Li said he killed her father.
You don't remember?
For you, the day Bison graced your village was the most important day of your life. But for me, it was Tuesday.
I do that constantly with Renee.
Yeah.
When she's like, babe, don't you remember, like, I did the dishes, I put it away. Where did I put the honey? And I'll be like, babe, the day you put the honey somewhere else was the most important day of your life. For me, it was Tuesday. And she's just like, I don't know what that means.
I'm surprised she hasn't killed you.
But just help me. Yeah. I do stuff to her all the time. Oh, whenever, instead of being like, the dishes are done, I'll be like, the dishes are donezo, Washington. And she's like, stop. That's not funny.
Ooh.
Or I'll be like, if I'm tired, I'll say, man, I am so John Tuckered, must die. From that movie, John Tucker.
Yeah.
And she's like, what? You didn't even see that movie. Why are you making that a tired thing? And I'm like, I don't know.
It is now.
Because it's a thing.
Make it our thing.
It's our thing.
It's
She's
our
like,
thing.
it's your thing
It's
that you're
definitely.
trying to force to be our thing.
Right.
So there's all this stuff where I love this. I love this scene between Chun-Li and Bison because I actually think Ming-Na Wen, for what she's given, I think she's awesome in general, but she's not given a ton, but she does a good amount with it. And this scene where she gets full on a rage and he thinks she's harmless and she snaps her wrist cuffs and then she starts kicking his ass. And then, like you said, they all bust in and he hides behind glass and they get gassed, but
Yeah.
it's just knockout gas for some reason.
I guess so.
Instead of just murdering your foes.
Right, but they're knocked out. Like he should have disposed with all of them right then.
Yeah.
Like we never see why they're dragged out of that
Or
room.
at least don't drag them out and then chain them all to the same pipe. Like,
Right.
put them in different cages because he's just setting himself. He's classic bad guy, megalomaniac who just thinks he can get away with everything.
Sure, but this is not even like I got you and now I'm going to tell you why I'm going to kill you, giving the good guy time to come up behind me. This is like you are unconscious in my control
Yep.
and I am taking you from the unconscious contained room
For no reason.
for no reason to a conscious uncontained space.
For no reason.
For no reason. And we never see why and we never understand why. And there's like it's not even to like see anything happen. It's just like, come on out.
You're right.
Everyone I should have
'Cause
killed.
he's going to murder the hostages, I guess.
I don't know.
But I don't fully understand if that's what the time limit
But he
is.
doesn't even know yet because he's checking the balance on
and
his
the
thing.
balance is zero.
By the way, you can't have a bank account with a $0 balance. It's
They'll charge you
impossible.
fees.
They'll charge you fees. You have to open it with the balance in there.
Yeah. I mean,
so
that's maybe their first mistake.
that's
Bad
like
guys.
even a local credit union will make you do that, let alone like a Swiss bank where you
I
can
wish
hide
I was
funds.
in the room when that happened. You're like, no!
Yeah.
I could take everything in this movie except this. Come on, put at least $25 or you get, we already know that. You'll get $15 fees every month.
Yeah.
Can we do clip number 5? Because this is when Guile is approaching in his stealth boat, which is basically just a mirrored boat, which you can still clearly see the waves coming out of it. So it's not very stealth, but every bad guy is like, what is this thing coming towards us that's shooting and blowing up all of our
Right.
guns? This is his big hero line to Bison.
This is General Bison. Our defenses are locked onto you. Identify yourself. This is the collection agency, Bison. Your ass is 6 months overdue, and it's mine.
I don't.
What?
I've never heard that phrase before. Like I said, these guys, I think there might be some sort of like romantic interest there or
He's
something.
interested in his ass.
Your ass is 6 months overdue and it's mine. You know, I mean, like that sounds like a pickup line.
Yeah, I
Like-
mean,
like
hey.
if you see like an ex-girlfriend and you guys are kind of drunk and buzzed and they're like, hey, what are you thinking about doing tonight? And you're like, well, your ass is 6 months overdue and it's mine.
And she's like, listen, when I broke up with you, it was the most important day of your life.
For me.
But for me, it was Tuesday.
Yes! Yeah! I love it. I love it. So that was one of my favorites. I don't even care if anybody was watching that. So
this is always like they did this a couple times in this sequence also,
Yeah.
where they're like, prepare for stealth mode. It's like, why? You don't need to do anything to prepare for stealth. Just hit the stealth
yeah,
mode
there's
button
no like,
and you're
there's
fine.
no like buckle in and
No, they didn't. Nothing changed in their
guess they went
experience of it.
faster?
I mean,
Did you notice they kept showing the same shots of just trees with fire bombs
Yeah.
going off behind them and
Yeah.
not anything actually exploding every
Yes.
time they blew up a gun?
Yes.
And I think it was the same explosion. They just reversed it to make it look like a different, I don't know. But then, so Bison's using his Street Fighter 2 controller and he's making the mines come up and he blows up the ship. But after we guess that they're jumping out because they take their seatbelts off and say they're gonna jump out.
Because I guess they know that the big finale's coming. I don't know why he didn't just explode all of them at once the boat got like, he should have just let them come and then like explode all of them. Yeah. But he was like one at a time trying to pick them off.
You know, this is Bison. He's a sportsman. He's got some sportsmanship behind everything. He wants ritual combat so then he can snap his spine. The path not taken.
This is true.
I think he just wanted to face him mano a mano.
He
wanted to find out what your ass is mine, and he's come to collect mains.
I have one question for you.
I have several, but the main one is, what does collecting it mean? I don't understand.
Can I have $25 to put in my bank account, please?
They keep charging me $15. It's wasteful. So when the boat blows up, this is one of the more famous lines that you'll see in the gifs of it and memes and stuff. This is M. Bison clearly referencing the video game. Clip number 6.
Game over!
Intruder destroyed.
Intruder destroyed. Oh my God. I love this movie so much. It's so silly. I don't even know what to riff on with Game Over. It's so obvious.
Yeah.
But I hope that if Robert Mueller ever comes up with anything, that the second he drops it on Trump's desk, which maybe he doesn't have anything, I don't know, but the second he drops it on his desk, good or bad news, just as like a middle finger, he just goes,
Game over!
Intruder destroyed.
and then even if it's like, yeah, we really didn't find anything, at least he went out with a bang.
Yeah.
Or he's like, haha, seriously, game over.
It'll be his mission accomplished banner.
Do the knockout gas, so then we can just have him outside on the lawn.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So, anyways,
with the little kid mowing the lawn.
somebody's gonna be like, what the episode was going great until the last 6 minutes, and you had to bring up Trump.
Thanks for sticking with us to the last 6 minutes. Appreciate you.
Former fan 797 or whatever your name was. Oh my God, there's all kinds of fight scenes, sort of. But then, Guile sees Charlie as Blanca, and for the first time, his initial reaction, instead of like, hey, I wonder if any of my friend is left in there, Charlie doesn't even ask him to kill him. No. His just initial reaction is, yeah, I'll help you. He says, help me.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, I'll help you.
Yeah, I got you.
Jesus. Dude, you're the reason he became this, because you called him out on national TV.
Yeah.
International
TV.
And his first thing, and then Dalsum, who in the game is this awesome, he has stretchy arms, and like he can punch like 10 feet away, and in this he's just like a British dude, I guess, who then gets his hair burned off by chemicals.
Sure.
So he stops him.
There are a lot of people who like turn on Bison at the drop of a hat.
Yeah,
Where
well,
they're
that
just
guy
like,
was grumpy from the beginning.
He was, but like, why employ him then? You know what I mean?
He was handcuffed the whole time. He was chained.
That's true. Yeah.
So then at the end, he's like, I'll help him. But then helping him ends up just being, hey, I'm going to cuddle with you while we die in this exploding building.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, wait, why didn't you guys escape?
That was better than getting shot in the head, I guess.
I guess by your best friend,
Yeah.
who you didn't even ask to do it.
But does he even know him anymore? He's changed.
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
I don't know. He has changed.
Yeah.
He's also on lots of coke.
He's after that ass.
He's on a mission.
Yeah.
That ass is overdue.
He's got to collect.
And if it's anything like when movies were overdue at Blockbuster when I worked there, you had to collect.
Oof.
Don't even get me started on Be Kind Rewind, man. People did not rewind, and that would be so
They
frustrating.
were unkind.
They
The
were
worst is when it came back to you like halfway through the movie, and you're like, "Why'd you stop it here?
Yeah.
Why didn't you just either rewind it or watch the rest of it?"
I don't know, man.
Yeah, I
They're
don't
just
know.
lazy.
I don't know.
So then Ken tries to be a jerk and bail, and he comes back to help Ryu while Ryu's getting his ass kicked by Sagat and Vega. And then there's this pretty cool fight scene in the locker room between Vega and Sagat and Ken and Ryu. But I feel like, again, that's where it's more of a kid's thing, because they get kind of knocked out and are like you just expect like at least Mortal Kombat, there's some violence to the fight scenes. I mean, Scorpion gets his head lopped off by a spike shield and volcanic lava's erupting from it, you know, and there's some cool stuff in it. And then the Mortal Kombat Annihilation feels like a softcore porn parody that happened to be an actual sequel to the movie with no sex. Nice. I literally watched Mortal Kombat Annihilation after did we do Mortal Kombat on here? Either way, I watched it after that, and I literally was like, this feels like a porn parody, but where nobody's having sex and nobody's really fighting either.
It's not a fun parody.
It's not a fun parody. Like, why even do it?
Yeah.
That was was really a weird tangent when we only have 3 minutes left. So now Guile and Bison have squared off. The armies are there. Cammy has been fighting her way up. She yells out thrust kick before she does a kick. And I love that because I get that it's from the game, but it makes no sense in the real world. Like, if I was like, right hook, you'd be like, cool, I'll block it.
Great. Let me get out of the way.
Let me dodge. Left hook. Anyways, so this is clip number 7. This is when Bison is very excited his ass is going to be collected.
You have made me a happy man.
Next, I'll make you a dead one.
Next, I'll make you a dead one. Yeah! So good. So there's this huge fight, and again, I use that term loosely, but in the context of this. But then there's other things, like when they have the 2 Japanese soldiers from the AN trying to change the security channel, and it switches to Zangief and E Honda fighting, and they're watching them fight over Bisonopolis, and Godzilla sound effects are coming from the TV.
Yep.
It's hysterical because it doesn't make any sense. Like, there's no reason. Are they perceiving it that way? Was there... what is happening?
I think Godzilla was in the room.
He must have been.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of.
I mean, it just makes no sense, but I loved it. And then they're kicking the crap out of each other. Bison gets knocked into a panel and electrocuted, and then his suit brings him back to life. But before that, Guile thinks he's dead, so he says, clip number 8.
Colonel, are you alright?
I'm okay. I'm just half dead.
And Bison?
All dead.
So ridiculous. I know we're running out of time, so we're just going to get to it. So Bison comes back to life. He has this electromagnetic thing that he explains really quickly that I don't fully grasp, that makes him fly, makes him shoot energy, which if you had all this, why didn't you use it?
He should have done it way earlier.
Why didn't he do it earlier?
Yeah.
But I guess it was his sportsmanship until he was killed by Guile, and then he was like, well, I guess I should, and Guile does do a couple of his flash kicks, which are the backwards backflip kicks. Anyways, this is Guile saying, he has a god complex. He's admitting it.
You still refuse to accept my godhood. Keep your own god. In fact, this might be a good time to pray to him. For I beheld Satan, and he fell from heaven like lightning.
My favorite part of it is from heaven. It's so good. Oh, rest in peace, Raul Julia, because this is such a good performance that this movie doesn't deserve, but it makes it. I honestly think he's what saves this movie. We have to play this one last sound clip, then we got to get out of here. But Zangief realizes Bison's a bad guy. He also learns how to do a thumbs up in the end instead of a sideways thumbs up. So he has a pretty big arc. Can we play?
He came out on top.
Clip number 10.
General Bison, he's a bad guy. If you know this, then why do you serve him?
Because he paid me a freaking fortune, you moron.
You got paid?
God, I love this movie. All right, that's all the time we have for today. Please tweet at us if you've seen Street Fighter. Where does it rank in your video game adaptation movies? Do you love it? Do you hate it? And also send some suggestions our way. We're thinking about Darkman eventually coming up. If you have any romantic comedy guilty movie pleasures, that'd be fun to do in the month of February.
Well done.
I can't speak. So I had a lot of coffee and it's kicking in right now. Perfect. So yeah, send us some romantic comedy guilty movie pleasure suggestions to change it up. Until next time, you can find me at the Ben Begley on Twitter and Instagram. And Jesse, where can they find you?
On Twitter and Instagram at 2InchJesse and for sketch at the Prom Losers.
You're so much calmer than I am. Until next time, Hadouken!
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.